Hey, hey, hey! Thank you for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press. Today we have a very good discussion for you. We're going to be interviewing Mike Torres and the case that we have before us. And then we are going to take it out to the court of public opinion as we will interview Mike Torres. Thank you for climbing aboard.
Ever wonder how one event can just totally reshape your life?
Oh,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
So today, we're going deep in,
Firsthand account here.
right.
I'm,
Ever wonder how one event can just totally reshape your life?
oh,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
So today, we're going deep into the story of Mike Torres,
Okay.
who claims he experienced police brutality,
Mm.
not once, but twice,
Wow.
years apart.
Okay.
We'll be looking at Mike's emails detailing these events to try and uncover the lasting impact they've had on him.
Yeah, so we're dealing with a firsthand account here.
Right.
I mean, Mike's words give us a raw and unfiltered look at how these events affected him emotionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's start in 1996.
Okay.
Mike's a high school student in Killeen, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and he's walking to lunch when a fight breaks out.
Okay.
He points it out to the school resource officer,
Mm.
Officer John Bowman,
Okay.
and continues on his way.
Just a witness then.
Yeah, just a witness.
All right.
But then Mike claims Officer Bowman elbows him in the head,
Oh, wow.
knocks him down,
Jeez.
and repeatedly slams his head against a window and a table.
Oh, my God.
Mike says the officer only stopped when he yelled, "Police brutality."
Like that power dynamic.
Wow.
You know, high school student
Yeah.
against an armed police officer.
Totally.
It's a stark contrast, you know.
Yeah. And what's disturbing is that Mike alleges a cover-up by the school and police department following the incident.
Really.
Yeah.
So instead of offering support,
Right.
Mike claims they conspired against him and his brother.
Yeah.
I think about that for a second.
I know.
What could that kind of betrayal do to a young person's trust in authority figures?
It's huge.
It's a huge question, right?
Yeah.
It really raises a significant question about the potential long-term psychological effects of feeling silenced and betrayed by those in power.
Absolutely.
Like imagine that,
Yeah.
you're silenced and betrayed by the people who are supposed to protect you.
Right.
That's got to be devastating.
It's a lot, and Mike claims the school pressured him to drop out,
Oh, wow.
and he believes they only let him graduate to keep things quiet.
I'll sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. So
Right.
he was forced to endure his senior year in this really hostile environment.
Can you imagine?
Imagine carrying that burden.
Yeah.
Not just the physical trauma, but the emotional weight of feeling unsupported and silenced.
And it's no surprise that this experience left its mark on him.
Right.
Later in life, Mike was diagnosed with PTSD, manic depressive disorder, and IED.
Yeah.
He believes that this incident with Officer Bowman was a direct contributor to those mental health challenges.
It's a crazy example of how one single event can have a ripple effect across a person's life.
Absolutely.
So fast forward to 2023.
Okay.
Mike is living in Fort Worth, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and he's really attached to his Mazda RX-8.
Okay.
He's constantly checking on it because he lives in an area that he considers unsafe.
So he's a little bit paranoid, I guess.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
So one morning, he spots a man slumped over in a Camaro, a needle hanging out of his arm.
Oh, my gosh.
So this is where we see Mike's willingness to reach out to authorities for help. Okay.
He calls for a welfare check on the man,
Mm-hmm.
who it turns out was overdosing on heroin in a stolen car.
Oh, wow.
So knowing how he reacts around police,
Yeah,
especially after that high school experience,
right.
Mike decides to leave the scene
Makes sense.
and go for a ride on his scooter.
He's trying to, avoid a potential trigger.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to avoid a potential trigger. you
Yeah,
know?
like he's trying to protect himself.
Yeah,
It's sad that someone would feel the need to distance themselves from a situation where they've done the right thing.
exactly.
You know,
It's
like he
sad.
called for help,
He did the right thing.
but he feels like he has to leave.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
So when Mike gets back to his apartment,
Yeah.
his neighbor tells him that a police officer has damaged his prized RX-8.
Remember how protective Mike is of his car?
Right.
Like this damage
Oh, yeah.
becomes symbolic of a larger issue, like
Yeah,
disrespect and violation.
totally.
It's a big deal to him. And the officer, Officer Charles, allegedly responds with verbal abuse when Mike confronts him about it.
Really?
Yeah.
So instead of addressing the damage,
Right.
he's just like being rude.
Yeah, Officer Charles allegedly tells Mike to shut up and calls him a B.
Oh, wow.
So put yourself in Mike's shoes,
Okay.
already carrying the baggage of that past trauma.
Yeah.
How would you react?
I mean, being spoken to in that manner
Right.
would feel like a direct attack on your dignity.
Yeah,
Especially considering the context of his previous experience.
absolutely.
It's important to consider how past trauma can inform someone's reactions in the present.
Yeah. So Mike ends up getting into a heated argument with the officer.
Uh-oh.
And as he goes to check the damage, things escalate dramatically.
Oh, no.
He claims Officer Charles punches him in the face.
What?
So there's some uncertainty here about whether it was a grab or a punch.
Okay.
Mike mentions a third video that could clarify this initial contact.
So there might be another side to this story.
Yeah, this is just based on Mike's account, you know.
Right, we're relying on his perspective.
Right.
There may be other interpretations of the events.
Yeah, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
But according to Mike,
Mm-hmm.
he punches back after being hit,
Okay.
and a full-blown fight ensues.
Oh my gosh.
During the fight, Officer Charles allegedly bites Mike's finger,
What?
breaking it.
Oh my God.
This level of violence is
I
disturbing
know.
and raises serious questions about the use of force.
Absolutely.
You know, the broken finger adds this visceral element to the story and speaks to the intensity of the altercation.
Yeah, it really does.
To free himself, Mike claims he poked the officer in the eye,
Wow.
at which point the officer yells for someone to tase him.
This just shows how quickly a disagreement can escalate
Right.
to a situation involving serious force.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the power dynamics during these interactions with law enforcement.
Absolutely.
So following this,
Yeah.
Mike is arrested and charged with assaulting an officer.
Oh, wow.
He claims the police never took his statement.
And the only one on record is Officer Charles's.
So his side of the story isn't even being documented.
Yeah, and it just says assault on an officer.
This lack of documentation from Mike's perspective raises concerns about due process.
Right.
Yeah, it highlights the potential for his side of the story to be overlooked or dismissed.
Yeah,
It's really concerning.
totally. And adding to this troubling situation, Mike claims his hospital records are missing,
What?
even though he was transported by ambulance for his bite wound.
So there's no record of his injuries.
Yeah.
This missing information creates a significant gap in the evidence
Right.
and fuels a sense of injustice. You know,
It does.
it's difficult to get a complete understanding of the events and potential misconduct when key pieces of documentation are absent.
Yeah.
Like, how can you even begin to investigate this properly without all of the information?
Right.
It's just not right.
Yeah.
It's just not fair.
No, it's not.
And it just makes you wonder what else is going on here.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Is this on record? Well, that was fast.
We can start a record.
Okay.
You heard what I said. Get the fuck away from me.
You hit my car with that fucking door. Oh, shit. Hold on. Bitch. What the fuck you hitting on, bitch? Fucking piece of shit. Hey,
It feels like a pattern of silencing is emerging here.
Right.
First, the alleged cover-up in high school, and now missing medical records and a lack of statement from Mike in the Fort Worth incident.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
These
Hey, thank you, Trendency, for your super chat. Thank you. You gifted $2, 2 memberships, two memberships. Thank you.
That's right. Sam was given a gift membership. Looks like Trendency has rejoined as a member. And who else got the other gift? I didn't see. It looks like Lady Justice Liberty Press got gifted the membership.
Ooh, wow. Huh,
No,
that's,
no way. I gifted one Lady Justice membership. I just don't see who it went to on here. Let's tell us who it went to, guys, in the chats. Tell us what you think of the story. How would you feel if this happened to you, guys?
it looks like Lori Van Hoosier's got a membership or something. She's in green.
Maybe. Yeah. And then Lori Van Hoosier got the membership. Very
Yes.
good. Congratulations, Lori Van Hoosier. Thank you for being here.
Thank
You
you.
never know when you might get some free gift by coming on over.
That's right.
Instances could contribute to a feeling of powerlessness,
Right.
like the system is working against him.
Exactly.
This lack of agency can be incredibly damaging,
Yeah.
especially for someone already grappling with mental health challenges stemming from a previous traumatic encounter with law enforcement.
Absolutely. This whole situation becomes even more complicated when you learn about Mike's previous encounter with Officer Charles
Oh, really?
a few months before the fight.
Okay.
So this incident reveals a pre-existing bias.
Interesting.
Neighbors were shooting BB guns near Mike's car, and when Officer Charles arrived, he allegedly immediately accused Mike of having a mental breakdown.
Wow.
It's like he was already jumping to conclusions about Mike's state of mind before even assessing the situation.
That's a really insightful observation.
Yeah.
It suggests that Officer Charles might have approached the situation with preconceived notions about Mike,
Right.
potentially influenced by societal stigmas surrounding mental health.
Right.
This initial judgment could have colored their subsequent interactions, creating a foundation of mistrust and antagonism.
And it didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
Mike says that Officer Charles challenged him to a fight,
Seriously?
which he almost accepted
Wow.
before other neighbors intervened.
Oh, my gosh.
He then called the officer's supervisor to report the incident
Okay.
and was warned that if he ever punched the officer, he would be charged with assault.
That's just adding fuel to the fire.
Right.
This detail adds another layer of complexity to the narrative.
Totally.
It suggests a potential pattern of provocation on the officer's part. Knowing Mike's history and potential triggers, was Officer Charles intentionally pushing his buttons,
Right.
perhaps anticipating a reaction that would justify an arrest?
It's a troubling possibility.
Yeah.
This prior encounter casts a shadow over the later fight and makes you question whether Officer Charles might have been predisposed to escalate the situation,
Right.
given his prior interactions with Mike.
It definitely raises some red flags.
Absolutely. And this
Yeah.
brings us to a fascinating detail Mike shared.
Okay, I'm listening.
He mentioned having a conversation with several officers, including Officer Charles,
Okay.
about his PTSD stemming from police brutality.
Wow. So he was open about his past trauma.
He was.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And Mike claims that while the other officers were understanding,
Okay.
even apologetic,
That's good.
Officer Charles was dismissive and aggressive.
Oh, wow. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's like he had no empathy for Mike's experience
Right.
or the deep-seated trauma he carried from his past encounter with law enforcement.
This contrast in reactions is incredibly revealing.
It is.
It underscores the point we were discussing earlier about individual biases within law enforcement.
Right.
Even within the same department, you can have wildly different attitudes towards sensitive issues
Yeah.
like police brutality and mental health.
Absolutely.
It's really eye-opening.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how much of Officer Charles's alleged behavior toward Mike was influenced by his personal biases.
That's a really good question.
You know, could his dismissive attitude toward police brutality have played a role in his later interactions with Mike?
It's certainly a valid question.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it highlights a critical issue.
Yeah.
The potential for personal prejudices to impact police conduct,
Absolutely.
especially when dealing with individuals who have a history of trauma related to law enforcement.
Mike's story really underscores how crucial it is for law enforcement officers to receive training on mental health awareness,
Absolutely.
de-escalation techniques, and recognizing their own implicit biases. It's so important. These tools can help prevent situations from spiraling out of control and ensure fairer treatment for everyone,
Exactly.
regardless of their past experiences or perceived vulnerabilities.
You're absolutely right.
So as we delve deeper into Mike's story, we see these intersecting themes emerge.
Yeah, what are they?
The enduring impact of trauma, the complexities of mental health,
Right.
and the urgent need for greater accountability and transparency within law enforcement.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But it's so important that we're having these conversations.
Yeah, but amidst these heavy topics,
Yeah.
there's also a glimmer of resilience in Mike's narrative.
I'm curious, what do you see as a sign of resilience in Mike's story?
Well, despite the challenges he's faced, Mike actively seeks professional help
Okay.
to address his mental health.
Good for him.
He recognizes the impact of these traumatic events and takes steps to manage his PTSD, manic depressive disorder, and IED.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of strength.
This willingness to confront his struggles head-on speaks volumes about his inner strength.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Seeking help is often a sign of strength,
It is.
not weakness.
It is.
By acknowledging his need for support and taking proactive steps to address his mental health,
Right.
Mike demonstrates an incredible capacity for resilience.
Yeah.
And it highlights another crucial takeaway from his story, the importance of access to mental health resources.
Yeah.
It's essential that individuals like Mike, who have experienced trauma, have access to quality care and support systems
Right.
that can help them navigate the challenges they face.
Absolutely.
This means advocating for better mental health services,
Yeah.
reducing the stigma surrounding mental illness,
Mhm.
and ensuring that those who need help can readily access it without judgment or financial barriers.
It's so important.
It really is.
We'll be back next week with the conclusion of Mike's story.
I can't wait.
It's intense.
It is. You know, it seems like we often hear stories like Mike's framed within larger movements and statistics. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But focusing on an individual experience like we're doing here really brings home the human cost of these systemic issues.
Absolutely. This deep dive hasn't just been about understanding what happened to Mike. It's been about trying to grasp how those events have shaped his life and worldview.
Totally.
So what stands out to you as like the most impactful takeaway for our listener?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
For me, it's understanding that trauma can have a lasting impact,
Yeah.
shaping someone's perceptions and reactions for years to come.
Right.
You know, Mike's high school experience seems to have created this deep-seated fear and mistrust of law enforcement, which may have influenced his behavior in the Fort Worth incident.
Totally. It's like he was carrying that past trauma with him, and it became a lens through which he viewed those subsequent encounters with the police.
Exactly, and it underscores the need for greater sensitivity and awareness from law enforcement.
Right.
When interacting with individuals who may have experienced trauma,
Yeah.
it's about recognizing that past experiences can shape someone's present behavior and responding with empathy rather than aggression.
Totally. Mike's story also highlights the importance of individual agency.
Oh yeah, how so?
Well, even though he faced those systemic challenges, like the alleged cover-up in high school and the lack of complete documentation in the Fort Worth incident, he didn't remain passive.
Right.
He sought help for his mental health and fought to have his voice heard.
His actions demonstrate that even in the face of adversity, individuals have the power to seek support,
Yeah.
advocate for themselves, and challenge systems that fail to protect them.
It's inspiring, you know?
It is.
It's a reminder that change often starts at the individual level,
Absolutely.
with people choosing to stand up for what's right and demand accountability from those in power.
That's a powerful message.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Mike Torres' story, it's clear that this isn't just about one man's experience. It's a microcosm of those larger societal issues we need to address.
It's an invitation for each of us to reflect on our own biases,
Right.
challenge injustice when we see it, and advocate for a more equitable and compassionate society where everyone feels safe and respected.
Mike's story is a call to action for all of us.
It really is.
It's a reminder that individual stories matter, and they have the power to spark meaningful conversations and drive positive change.
So as you go about your day, ask yourself, how can you contribute to creating a world where experiences like Mike's are no longer the norm?
Yeah.
How can you promote empathy, understanding, and justice in your own sphere of influence?
It starts with each of us acknowledging these issues, having those tough conversations, and working towards a future where everyone feels safe, valued, and empowered to speak their truth.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's our show for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Hey, hey, hey. Thank you all for joining Lady Justice Liberty Press and Mike Torres in this interview. His story, the story of Mike Torres.
Yeah, what did you guys think about that story? One of the first things that comes to my mind right off the bat is like, how come this cop is elbowing kids in the head? Like,
Absolutely.
for real.
Yeah. Does officers have a clue that these young adults, children really still in high school, their lives are being shaped and acting so aggressively for little to no reason? It really does shape the mental health of these young adults.
Well, yeah, that blow to the head probably didn't help the guy's overall life, mental health, right? What do you guys think about that? What did you guys think about the whole story? And I was wondering what he meant by the police. The police were conspiring to silence him after the 96 incident. Like, what were they doing to silence his voice? And how would, like, keeping him from graduating help silence him?
Yeah,
Or was it just a threat that they could keep him from graduating?
well, you've got to remember, he's a young adult. He's a junior in high school when this first incident takes place. So, you know, he's probably wanting to try to take care of this situation for himself. I wonder, where was his parents or his adults in his life? You know, why wasn't they not protesting at the school? Because it sounds like the school of the town he was living in at that time in Texas kind of conspired with law enforcement.
It does seem that way. You know, I just got a message. Mike is running a little late. He might not even make it.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on. He wasn't very descriptive. But we can still keep talking about his story. I was wondering how that made you guys feel, seeing how all that went down, hearing those people discuss this case.
yes, exactly.
And why did the guy like target? Why did Officer Charles target him after the welfare check? Like, he left on a scooter, and I was kind of wondering, like, what made him come back? If he was trying to avoid
Right.
this confrontation, or he didn't want to be triggered or something, like,
And I certainly,
was he avoiding something else, or I don't know. I was just wondering why he took off, and then he comes back, and then the
right,
fight happens.
exactly. And how long was he gone?
How long was he back?
Right.
Did he come right over? And as soon as he got back, he ran over to the
Well-
officer. I wanted to ask him about that, so I can't wait for him to get up in here.
Yeah, in some paperwork I did read his story that he shared. He was trying to run upstairs to get some information for somebody else that lives in the area that he lives in or whatever. Anyway, and then when he came back down, somebody else had told him, "Hey, the Officer Charles is over here tearing up your car."
Right.
You know.
And do you think that the officer intentionally did that? Was he
Well-
fucking up the car out of malicious intent? Was he doing it hoping to provoke a fight? Because, man, that officer didn't waste any time to start punching him right in the face.
Absolutely.
Are officers supposed to be punching you right in the face? I did hear that the officer later on, he was charged with assault on an officer at first, and they were saying that he threw the first punch or something like that. That is not what I seen in the video.
no.
I also didn't see the guy rushing up on the officer like the officer said. Yeah, he came close, and he did come very close, and he was talking aggressively. It's not smart. But what I seen, though, was the cop being much more aggressive. I guess that's just their training. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What if this happened to you? The other thing too, man, was how did police justify that? Like, why did the sergeant warn him? Like, what is he essentially saying? If you get attacked by one of my guys again, and you defend yourself, you're definitely going to jail. Like,
Hold on,
you
hold
should
on.
be able to defend yourself.
There was something about getting into a ring at some point,
The
but
officer-
you could not hit the officer, or you would be charged with assault on an officer.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Oh,
And you know
wow.
what? You know what? I'm sorry. Okay, I won't hit the officer with my hands. Okay, but you're putting me in a ring to defend myself. I guess I'll just have to use my feet or anything else that I can muster up. I mean, really,
Definitely. Right?
yeah. I mean, aren't there laws against that? I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, so to speak. You know.
Yeah, totally, man. What about how does the police department train officers to like handle individuals who have PTSD? Maybe the dude just been triggered off. You ain't supposed to clock him in the fucking jaw a couple of times, are you? And shit, you gonna give him an attitude adjustment? The dude's mentally unwell, maybe, and it's because of you and from when he was a child. Maybe this officer should have tried harder not to come into contact.
Well,
I feel like he should have had a protective order.
I think there's two different incidences here and two different officers.
Is that what it is?
Yes,
Oh,
it
in
is.
two different departments, maybe
And
even?
several years in between.
Oh, I can't wait for him to get in here into the stream
This is
so we
what
can
is
ask him.
going on.
We're definitely gonna have to ask him about
Hey,
that.
hey, hey, we have Johnny Bravo in the house. Thank you for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press, and my co-host here, Mr. Amazing from Amazing Audits. And while I'm talking about that, Mr. Amazing has got an amazing newsletter that he is developing called Copwatch Chronicles. I highly advise you all to go on over, check it out, read the stories that is developing right now as we speak.
The Mike Torres story is up over there, so if you guys want to
Absolutely.
read his official submission to the website, go check it out, guys.
That's right. And go over and show Mr. Amazing over there at Copwatch Chronicles some fabulous love.
Yeah, if you search Copwatch Chronicles, it comes right up. But I'm also putting the link in the description. I mean, in the comments right now. So go
That's
check
right.
that out. All right, guys. We really appreciate you over here at the Copwatch Chronicle team. Submit your police interaction stories today and let us know, what do you think? What reforms would you demand to prevent future cover-ups? Tell us in the comments, what would you demand from officers to get this to be a better policing scenario for everyone?
Back to the Mike Torres show. I do have a comment about Mike was actually taken to the hospital
Oh yeah.
much, much later after his arrest on that assault of Officer Charles. But he had to kind of fake his, I guess, in a roundabout way. During that altercation between allegedly between Mike and the officer bit Mike's finger.
He was trying to bite that sucker off, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He absolutely. That's
He was trying to bite that
That's
right off.
exactly what I told Mr.
Yeah.
Amazing, because in the process he also broke his finger while biting. So I'm gonna safely assume his jaw had to have been at least at a 15-pound, 12 to 15 pounds of pressure.
Dang, he was really trying to hurt him, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and yeah, I'm sorry you had to endure that, Mike. No one should ever, ever have to endure anything like that, ever in their life. Anyway, Mike Torres was taken to the hospital.
Well, he said he slammed his head 25 times. Did I hear that did I read that in the story?
Okay, that was earlier when in high school.
Oh, okay. 25 times though. So when he was a child, the officer slammed his head 25 times?
This is why he's got post-traumatic stress disorder and a couple other things going on with him. And he has done the right thing. I really commend Mike for seeking whatever help or assistance that he might need, to better his life,
Wow.
What this officer did to this young man back in high school, when he was a junior in high school, is disgraceful. Disgraceful. But we back the men in blue, right? until it happens to you.
Yeah, that's sad.
It's really sad.
The other thing too, what I was checking out was how much does this guy love his car? And also, do you guys love your car enough to go fight a cop?
Well, this was a rare vehicle. I want to say for the record.
God dang, how rare.
Well, Mike made a statement that it was a very rare vehicle, and he had it at the time. It sounds to me like he no longer owns it for it, but he didn't get into why he no longer has that vehicle.
Wow.
I don't know if they ended up kidnapping his vehicle,
They probably gave him a lot of hard times after the
Well,
fact, didn't they?
maybe this might, maybe, Mike, I don't know, you only know this. Perhaps Officer Charles was jealous of your vehicle. I can only assume because it sounds like he absolutely knew that this car was yours. Now, I might be wrong. I don't know. But it sounds like with the conversation that another individual that lives within your apartment complex seen what the officer was doing and made a comment. There was comments made. And it sounds to me like this cop absolutely was aware. So that makes it more like he was trying to vandalize.
Also, I
know.
guess, is there a chance that maybe that officer was, like, there was stuff going on, they were going through this car, you know how we got roughed up for being too close to the crime scene or
Oh,
whatever?
gosh, yes.
Is it just that he was, like, in this 20-foot zone where they think evidence is gonna blow into someone else's pocket or something if they don't freaking beat the shit out of you or arrest you or something?
Yeah. You must stay these feet away. However, that's never been determined 100, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop your thoughts and your opinions about that subject in the comments below. Lady J1A loves to grow.
One of the things I was wondering too is, do you guys think that he'll ever get justice? Because I just went to trial and I noticed that even though I got to go on the stand and I got to give my story and tell the facts as I seen them, there were things I was restricted from talking about.
Yeah.
There were things I wasn't capable of building the foundation to introduce to the jury. So there was a lot of facts that I couldn't get to the jury, but there was also a lot of things that I didn't get to say. So my voice was stifled in a lot of ways. And I don't think you really ever get justice in the justice system. So that's why this Copwatch Chronicle is the most important thing. The link is on the screen right now, guys, and you can find it in the chat. We'll pin it up later and put it in the description. But the thing is, that's the closest you're ever going to get to justice, because at least this way you get to tell your story,
I would like to shout out Josephine for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press. Hey, we do have Geo in the house. Yo, yo, yo.
That's right, we do. Thank you for being here, Gio. So yeah, how did that Camaro, how did that play into it, I wonder? Like, if it was just because it was part of another scene, the officer, like, more or less physically, without any warning, by being unprofessional, but he was, like, attempting to keep the contents of the vehicle, and was the man still in that vehicle?
Exactly.
At this time?
And
God, I wish
we've
he was
not
here.
heard anything about any actual emergency vehicles coming to assist this individual that was in the Camaro and his life. That's the whole purpose of why, Mike Torres called for some help, for some medical assistance for this individual that appeared to be allegedly ODing at the time.
Have you guys had a similar occurrence in your life? Is there something else that have you had a similar occurrence where the police that you trust
share.
Just let us know. And we could bring you on up. Tell us in
Yeah,
the chat below.
We'll have to look at you and make sure you're all good to get up here.
Yeah, we'll make sure you are who you say you are, and we'll hear part of your story and stuff.
Yep, yep. I do think that in the earlier incident with Mike Torres back in high school, when he was a junior in high school, a young adult, I really do believe that that instance where he was pounded in his head over 25 times.
That probably had a big to do with his.
I really
being
think
messed
that
up.
really had a lot to do with his mental state that he has had to endure
Speaking of
all
which,
of these years.
I think maybe Mike has decided he doesn't actually want to come up and talk, guys. So we're gonna have to talk about it, Mike. It's okay, man. No,
It's
no
absolutely
judgment. If you change
fabulous.
your mind, we'll definitely talk to you about it later.
You know, we all can-
meanwhile, we could talk
That's
about
right.
it.
We all must do what we must do in life, and if you're not comfortable, I want you to be comfortable. That is first and foremost. You've been through enough, man. I mean, honestly, yeah. So,
I think that the officer in 1996 should have been held accountable.
oh,
Do you
absolutely.
guys, what do you guys think? When this first happened, if he could have got justice then, that could have prevented the traumas so much. Am I right or wrong about that, guys?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Should-
And I don't think school resource officers should be going around thugging on the kids. That's just what my feeling. Drop your thoughts and your opinions below. Should police officers be required to undergo mental health training? Hey, hey, hey. What's their major malfunction?
Tyranny, right?
Of course, they should be offered a comfy little couch on their time to go take care of their mental health issues, and they should be getting those psych evaluations a lot more often than they do.
A lot more frequently than they do.
Absolutely. And drop your thoughts and your opinions about
About
that subject below.
Definitely. The other thing, guys, what we would really love to hear is what would you have done in Mike's situation? Anybody want to come up and talk about it? We'll drop a link. Push a 1 if you want to come up on the chat and talk about it.
So why do you guys think that in the second instance, Mike's medical records disappeared, even though he was transported to the hospital from the jail to the hospital
That's too
by
damn
ambulance? He was transported by ambulance, but there's no medical records to substantiate that. And he was treated for a broken finger with a human bite.
Yeah, that's pretty severe.
That is pretty severe. It would take about 12 pounds of pressure to break your finger. That guy was really jawing down on his finger really hard.
Well, you've been a victim of police misconduct, haven't you, Lady J?
I certainly have. Thank you, Officer Brown, allegedly.
Yeah,
at
you're
this
still
point.
having physical symptoms from what Officer Brown did to you last year, aren't you?
I am, and this was back in March of 2024 when this happened, when he chose to squeeze my arm aggressively,
Excessively.
unneededly, yes, and that is seen in multiple officer body camera footages, as well, no, it's heard in my live stream. And then he started twisting and manipulating both of my wrists.
There really is no justice, and it's the injustice system, guys. That's why you need to click on the link for the Copwatch Chronicle and drop your police stories in there, because I learned what they really don't want is us sharing our story with each other.
Is it injustice or is it injustice?
It's disjustice.
Disjustice.
It's disjustice. That's what it is.
It's an illusion.
It sure the heck is.
What do you think? Do you think it's an illusion, y'all?
Are there even freedoms at all if a cop can try to bite your finger off and then later on you don't get any justice? Is part of the problem that the justice system protects officers more than civilians? What do you guys think? Tell us in the chat. Let us know how you feel about that in the chat below. I'm talking with Mike right now, and we're gonna try to get him up on the show, guys. Okay, so just hang tight. Meanwhile, leave a comment. We asked quite a few questions. I'm sure some of you have an opinion about what has been said.
Absolutely. And thank you, Mike, for sharing your story with Lady Justice, Liberty Press.
And the Copwatch Chronicle.
Yes. Thank you so very much. I'm sure that, well, I know that you have been very courageous thus far. You have gone through so much over these many years. I want you to do what's right for you.
Yes, sir.
Be comfortable.
You guys, how do you think the mental health plays a role, though, in police interactions? How did it play a role in this interaction? What do you guys think? Did it play a role? I'm sure it did.
I think cops, well, just like when we was arrested, Mr. Amazing, back in March of last year, 2024, out there in Aurora, a couple of different cops, Aurora PD officers, stood there and talked to you for several minutes while they were writing up our tickets and stuff. And they shared on live stream, I might add, their experience with what they endure.
Their mental health issues that they develop because of their interactions, and sometimes their interactions with people like us.
Well, not just people, not just that, because of all the dead bodies they see on a daily basis. They don't get enough time off of work to go take care of their therapy appointments. I mean, they were very candid.
They were actually. There was a very candid conversation about how they see they're having less and less officers on the force, and they're getting stretched more and more thin. And that this officer Sperber had seen 20 dead bodies in the last 30 days.
And we had Officer Williams toed in his 2 cents.
That they don't get enough days off to go talk to their therapist about all the dead bodies that they see.
That's right. And you know, I've worked in the medical field once upon a time many years ago. And I understand. And that's why I am so keen on, you must get your mental health taken care of, folks, if you want to sign up to be taking care of other folks. You know, officers, if you truly feel that way, even for a moment, you need a mental health day. You do.
That's right. You need to tell your supervisor about that
and,
stuff.
For the safety of the public, I'm going to demand that you take that mental health day, officer. And you know, I'm actually going to step out on saying you need to do whatever it takes to get your appointment for that comfy little couch taken care of.
Held to the
ASAP. There's enough acorns dropping out there in our society, and unfortunately, too many people have become victims of police
excessive force, police misconduct, and brutality.
Public safety,
police brutality.
Yeah. Public safety has to become a topic at some point, and we do need to speak up for police officers' mental health. We do need to speak up and tell them, if you can't cut it, maybe you need to step out gracefully as a disabled cop. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Totally.
You know, you can't stay on the force is all I'm saying. You can't stay working with the people. You can't stay working for the public with those kind of negative bias going on, with those kind of, yeah, it's inappropriate and it's excessive and it's uncalled for. And I think until we as people band together to make sure these officers get their mental health looked at, really looked at from a medical
Emails detailing
standpoint, a mental health standpoint, those acorns are still going to happen.
It's still gonna happen. The acorns, man. No, it's messed up. The acorn could fall and you could get hurt, or maybe there is no acorn even and you still get hurt. It's
Right.
just, it's horrible.
It's getting ridiculous. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, until we as people come together and demand this in our own communities, I don't think there's going to be much change. What do you think?
Yeah, tell us in the comments, guys. I'm not seeing anybody chiming in, but honestly, I know that you guys have got stronger feelings on it than that.
Absolutely.
If Mike's story hadn't been shared, do you think anybody would even believe him? Like, it's a good thing we're talking about it. He probably gets
Absolutely.
gaslit to hell and back.
Keep this story and stories like this alive. Do you know, that's what they want. They want us to shut up. They want us to be quiet. They don't want us to converse with each other and conversate and communicate.
Yeah.
They do not want that.
That also complicates things too. When somebody has post-traumatic stress, how do you think those past traumas impact interactions with the police? Like, they don't have the necessary training to deal with everyone. How many times have they hurt a person or put a person in handcuffs that had a diminished capacity?
Because they're tired. They're tired mentally.
All
They're
day.
tired physically. They're tired emotionally. And I'm talking about these officers.
That's
on
what
the
they
beat.
arrested us for. They said they were tired, too tired for our police accountability
Yeah,
testing.
that's true, isn't it? D. Wilcox. Hey, 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 out there on Aurora PD. I'll shout you out. And while I'm shouting outs, I want to thank each and every one of my channel members for coming aboard and becoming part of the Liberty Press family. Hey, hey, hey.
That's right, and thank you so much for being here. It's because of your interactions, your engagements, and your being a member to this channel that makes it all possible. But we love each and every one of our viewers over here
right.
on Lady Justice. If you'd please leave a comment, talk about it in the chats with us, engage with us a little bit more. We sure appreciate it. Your engagements mean the world to this channel.
And do share all over social media like wildfire.
Do you guys think that sometimes officers intentionally provoke citizens to justify an arrest? That's what happened to us, isn't it? That's exactly what happened to us. Oh my
That's exactly
gosh.
what Aurora
Right
PD
now.
did. Imagine. Vasquez. Yeah, Laura Vasquez. Oh, hold on. It's Alexis Laura Vasquez. Yes, that officer. He loves to imagine that he works, that he actually does something,
That he has standards.
that he has standards.
Where are those standards?
When you can't even put up yellow tape that took all of, and I quote, 28 seconds once we demanded that yellow tape go up.
It's almost like good thing we were there, because what might have actually happened What
Oh
might have
my
happened
gosh.
to somebody else if we, what if a person of color or something had come along
Well,
and then they were just too close to Kaufman
anyone.
or Vasquez?
Anyone that,
Well, we
oh
got
gosh,
lucky. That's what
yeah,
I'm trying to say.
yeah.
We got kind of a little bit lucky there.
We
seems
could have
like.
been roughed up really bad, absolutely. Officer Vasquez waited. He actually waited
What if they
until
would have grabbed
Mr.
him like this?
Amazing, until Mr. Amazing actually asked one time, once to another officer while they're trying to still build rapport.
Yeah.
Where would you like me to stand?
When he was actually
Quote,
supposed
unquote.
to be speaking another language, he was supposed to be translating Spanish to English for the
Yeah.
detective.
He interjected himself.
Yeah.
He took himself away from his
And then they
post,
tag teamed
from
me.
his duties, and then he got over there and took it upon himself to just do whatever. But then it's now Mr. Amazing's fault that he stepped away. Silly. Silly, silly.
How's the sound, everybody? Are we 5 by 5? Do we still have your attention? I have a lot more that I would like to say. But
Let's
Lady
move
J,
on.
may I show you this little part right here? Okay, let's take this back right to about here, I think. How about right
I see
right
hands.
here? What if this cop, what if you went up that night to go film and they just grabbed you, ran up on you like that, and then just started breaking the bones in your face with their fucking big pig fist? Look at how big this guy is. Look how much larger he is than the man he's punching in the face.
Well,
Look at that.
yeah, this cop is
Pop,
really,
pop, pop,
he's
just-
not being very nice at all. He's being a gangster, if you ask me. In my humble 1A opinion, this officer is being a gangster, a blue line thug bug, if you will.
Do we want to listen to it one more time?
What else is going on
Please.
here?
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Can you hear it?
Is this on record? Well, that was fast. Man, get the fuck away from me. What, bitch? You hit my car with that fucking...
It feels like a pattern of silencing is emerging here.
Right.
First, the alleged cover-up in high school, and now
Bitch! Who the fuck you hitting on, bitch? Fucking piece of shit!
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Just checking your 5 by 5 here. Let's
a
listen.
pattern of silencing is emerging here.
Right.
First, the
Fucking
alleged
piece of
cover-up in
shit.
high school, and now missing medical records and a
Did you
lack
say
of
about my
statement
mama?
from Mike in the Fort Worth incident.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
These
man, of
instances
course.
could
I mean, what are you supposed to do? I don't condone violence on no like group or nothing like that. But I was really proud of this Mike for standing up for himself. What do you guys think? He had the balls to do it, man.
Not very many people will punch on an officer. But the way I'm looking at it, this officer came up from behind Mike, and it's been determined too, I do believe, this officer unlawfully aggressed on Mike Torres, punching him in the back of the head first and foremost. There are 3 different camera angles of this event, is my understanding. We do have one angle, and you can see that officer is thumping on a people out there, somebody that had nothing to do with the events at hand, yet was sucked in, pulled in, punched in the process.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I don't know what I would have done, man. But also at the same time, he got, like, I'm surprised the cop didn't acorn him, aren't you?
Oh,
I'm surprised he didn't acorn him. We don't also see the whole interaction here. Wasn't he tased
I do.
during the
Yes.
interaction too?
The
So
officer
he had to be tased.
did. The officer did tell the other officer, the female officer, that you see her hands out, stretched
That
out.
stuff was hilarious.
Yes, it was. I couldn't get over that. The officer's telling that other officer that's got her hands out to tase him. Tase him, tase him. is what he's saying.
Good thing for body cameras, or else this would just be freaking denied, huh?
It would.
This would all just have been denied altogether. And then look, even with the body cameras, nothing freaking comes of it.
And you know, that reminds me, I would love to see officers put on a body camera when they get on shift, turn that body camera on, and leave it on where they cannot mute it, they can't stop it.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
From the time they're on shift till the time they are off shift. And that includes their breaks. Absolutely. We want, and honestly, it would protect them. It would let everybody know exactly what they did. I mean, everything is of great public interest and value that an officer does and says, right?
Absolutely.
So
You're right.
I see no harm in that. Drop your thoughts, drop your opinions about that nuance that could be actually put on all the books out there. You know, it's just the people gotta want it. You just gotta want it.
Yep. Here's that frame right here where you were talking about where she has her arms stretched out.
Help, help, what do I do? What do I do? She just looks so confused right there from that angle, that view.
Isn't it funny? Now, what else can we say here about this? I definitely know that I think, is police misconduct getting worse, or are we just filming it more? Is it just being recorded more because there's more body cameras, or press doing a better job of covering it maybe, or something?
I think it is actually getting worse. As far as police brutality, police misconduct, I really feel like it's getting worse. And it's like those incidents of acorns. I think those incidents probably really did happen, but because, I don't know, maybe we're filming it more. Because we are filming
There's more
it more,
cameras?
we are seeing them. And we're actually knowing what's really happening instead of it being so easily swept under the rug, so to speak, and forgotten about.
Speaking of sweeping things under the rug and it being forgotten about, our official complaint at APD has still not been assigned to any investigator.
Even though Mr. Smith, K. Smith, in Internal Affairs at Aurora PD, emailed and assured that that would be taken care of in a timely manner. What has been timely about?
No one's contacted us yet.
Yeah, and I got back some more records that I requested back in November of last year.
Yeah, so they
The
violated
day after my trial.
So the day after the trial, they send her back something that violates the Cora because it's been delayed too long.
Yeah.
It violates the Colorado law for records and stuff.
Yeah.
So you've been through
But they
this whole
don't.
process, even though, so you've tried to make an official complaint.
Yes,
We
I
don't
have.
know how long that's gonna take, but in your opinion, Lady J, please speak into the microphone and tell us what needs to change in police accountability policies. What do you think? What do you see as the errors? We'll wait. Go ahead and think about it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you guys in the chat, let us know what you think. What changes need to be made in police accountability policies?
Well, I think officers that don't have qualified immunity seem to, by and large, act a little more professional. They seem to be a little slower at stepping right up on your rights, so to speak. I think that qualified immunity really needs to be squashed, and I mean from sea to shining sea. It really needs to go away.
Oh yeah, because we experience a much better officer here in Colorado than everyone else in other states, don't we?
Absolutely. Another thing about policing in general that I have seen, that I've experienced since September of 2020, when I started my tour my traveling. Over there in the Seattle area,
Seattle, yes.
you can't find a cop until like 137th Street. And I'm
I thought
not
it was
kidding.
100 and gajillionth Street, man. It felt like forever. It took a week to find one.
It really did, right? It literally took a week
It literally
to
took a
find
week
a
to find
cop
one.
in the Seattle, Washington area. And I'm telling you, you would think there would be more crime. You would think that you couldn't step outside of your house, outside of your apartment. You would think that you can't travel down the road. You would think that. But that's not what I seen. That is not what Lady J1A experienced. That is not what the Liberty Press pressed on while I was visiting Zombie Law Enforcement Bureau.
Oh, yeah, man. How's Zombie
I haven't-
Law Enforcement Bureau?
I haven't heard
Zombie
from him.
Enforcement Bureau is what it is.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him for a minute, and I hope he's all right. He was.
Shout out Zombie Enforcement Bureau. What
Yeah.
up, man? What up? You and the people over there in the Northwest United States.
Hey, Al SoCal. Fabulous having you aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press. You guys, if you are out in the Southern Cal area, look up Al SoCal. And if you're all across the United States and all around the world, you can look up his channel and see what he does on the daily out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Cal's got the hottest nighttime Copwatch content I ever seen. Well, you know what? It's definitely top notch, man. I know
pretty
Westside
good.
Accountability be
Oh,
bringing us some
hey,
live
hey,
nighttime shit too. So,
Shouting out West Side Accountability.
hey, I want to show something right here in this video. What I think is funny. Maybe you guys won't find it funny. I don't know. Tell us what you think. But this female officer right here, when this stuff
So
goes
as we
down,
delve deeper into Mike's story, we
She's
see these
like,
intersecting
I'm
she's
themes.
gonna
got
hide.
stuff in her hands.
Yeah, what
right?
are they?
Yeah.
And
The
she's
enduring
like,
impact of
and then this
trauma,
goes down, right?
the complexities
Now
of
look,
mental
happening.
health,
She
Right.
sees it's happening. She carefully puts stuff down on the ground, and
And
then
it-
doesn't she stop 1 second, please?
Okay, yeah.
and the urgent need
And then look, she's got to put glasses or something on the hood. There are people
for
that
great-
this is a gun, this is shooting, this could be a shootout about to happen.
yeah.
And she's worried about these possessions in her hands. And then here comes the stiff-armed palms out
Greater
freaking
accountability
method
and transparency.
of flailing arms. Let's roll it back just a
I
touch.
bet she's got a loose
of mental
ponytail,
health,
too.
These
and the
flailing arms
urgent
right
need
here.
for greater accountability and
pigtail back
transparency
there.
within law enforcement.
Look, she didn't even do anything. She arrives, nothing happens.
It's a lot to unpack,
It is.
but it's so
She looked like for a second she was trying to determine which person to grab.
Exactly.
Give me a break.
Should I get him or should I get him? Oh, I guess I'll go for him.
Oh, bet she's not my partner, man.
Wow. Absolutely.
That's insane.
Oh, and that reminds me, I guess the equal opportunity employer is being dropped. It's gone away.
Why? What?
The equal
Oh
opportunity
yeah,
employer.
we don't
It's
want
gone
to piss
away.
nobody off, man. That's already a thorn in a lot of people's
Oh,
side.
yes.
I'm sorry that happened,
Me
man.
too.
For those of you
Me
out there
too.
affected by that.
Me too.
Like, I don't have words to convey my empathy for those of you that probably are going to have to find a different way to make some money. I
Yeah.
don't mean to say that in any crass way. I'm
No.
I'm worried for these people. I'm worried for society.
I'm
I
worried.
don't think
yeah.
that this was the best choice to cancel any EEO positions.
Yeah, yeah.
That being said, when an officer is found guilty of misconduct, should they ever be able to be a cop again after that?
My answer is absolutely, positively, no. Never, nowhere,
How could you?
nowhere. Your incredibility is gone.
important that we're having these
Exactly.
conversations.
Yeah, but
There's
amidst
nothing positive left there, so no, you should not be a cop again.
Nothing positive left there.
No. You have abused your authority, so to speak.
You betrayed your position.
Absolutely.
And the trust that we put in you, then no.
No, you,
Right?
and that position, honestly, it's
What?
it's like oh gosh, what is the word? You don't have to have that position. It's a position that only a few have that ability to have it, and it's not because it's so special. It's just not everybody can be a cop, you know.
Oh yeah, it's an impossible job.
It is an
I see that
impossible
now.
job. It really is.
Then it's an impossible job, and then we come on the scene. It's an impossible job before we get there, right, guys? And then,
Well, I do believe in counters, you know, the balances and checks, the checks and the balances
yeah.
of our society. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and honestly, I don't see anything wrong with a couple extra points of view documenting and
Who do
viewing.
they think they are that you can't? First of all, you're telling people what to do all day long. Who do you think
Right.
you are? Second of all,
Well,
just who do you think you are, man?
because they do tell people what to do all day long, they become,
Egotistical.
well, that's part of it, but it becomes so easy for them to just step over that line, that imaginary line, so to speak, that Officer Vasquez was trying to get Lady J1A on board with back in March of last year, and I refused. I couldn't. My conscience could not be governed that way.
That's right, and your conscience cannot be governed.
Right. And guess what? There's case law on that. That's been determined already. Your conscience cannot be governed. Yeah. That's why when you join the military and you don't want to join, you can let them know you are stepping aside because your conscience can't be governed that way.
You guys, we're still going because I'm having a clip right now uploaded that I was hoping you guys could see. It's taking a little bit longer to render than I thought it would. So stand by and we'll just keep talking about the justice system, accountability, and things like how do missing records impact a legal case? Like when you couldn't get those, when they didn't even offer to give you the records until after your trial, how did not having those records affect your case?
Well, detrimental, honestly. And also, if you're trying to enter evidence into a case, you've got to enter it correctly. You've got to use the actual 901 records submission way of doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
the federal rules for evidence, I think.
Yes.
901. I think
901
is
is exactly what it is, and you have to follow those rules of evidence precisely. Otherwise, you don't get your records entered into evidence, and that is missing pieces to the actual puzzle, the
That the
actual
jury needs.
events that really unfolded, the actual day or night, the time, whatever event it is you're in there debating, discussing, arguing, whatever it is you're doing. The jury needs that information in order to see the whole piece of the puzzle. And when they don't get it, guess what? They can't decide on it. And if they can't decide on it, it's as if it did not happen,
That's
even though it
messed up,
did.
man.
Even though it
That's
did.
messed up.
It is
felt
messed
horrible.
up.
It made me lose all like will to want to argue my case anymore.
Yes.
I couldn't even think straight.
That's
it was just
right.
like, what?
And in case you all didn't know, Mr. Amazing lost his case
Yeah, I lost the case.
over there in Aurora. You know,
But we're appealing. I just got to find the grounds for which I can appeal on.
Yes.
If anybody has any advice, leave a
35
comment.
days and it's tick, tick,
You know,
ticking
we
away.
need 35 days to come up with legal reasons why
Yeah.
we think the cops messed up. I mean,
More
not
like
the cops.
30.
The,
More like
the
30.
court process.
Yeah. The court process, yeah. Anyway,
Was Mike justified in defending himself, guys, during the altercation? He was socking his cop back, man. I thought
yes,
it
he
was.
was.
I mean, I don't want to say it's funny, man, but you know, that was a powerful moment. That was a powerful moment in the video, wasn't it? Should I turn it back on? Do we need to look at it again? That was such a powerful moment.
I mean, he was going toe to toe, fist to fist with the cop, allegedly. You know, but just think how mentally beat up you've had to been all these years. I mean, not just anybody will go toe to toe with a cop, or with anybody for that matter. You know.
Yeah. You know what? I think we may read some comments, and then we will
Yeah.
ask a couple more questions, and we may end this live stream. I do have something special to talk about later. I think after this, give
Okay.
us a little while, we'll get prepared, and hopefully today we will talk about Officer Sperber.
Ooh,
Don't
yes.
you want to talk about Officer Sperber now that the trials are over?
I do.
And we'll watch the Sperber body camera footage and we will audit him. What do you think?
That's great. Now he
We'll
was
audit Officer Sperber.
He was one of the officers that was talking to you about his mental status, correct?
We will listen to that.
You guys, you must come back later when we have this Sperber interview. It's eye-opening to a degree. I think you will absolutely love it.
Cool.
They are playing games with Discovery. Beware. Yes, you're correct,
They
Sam.
play games. Yeah, they play games with the Discovery. They sure do.
They absolutely do, and they will play the games that you allow. And if you are green, you know what I mean, they're going to do it. Absolutely. And they're going to push
100%.
it. They're going to push it just as far as they can until you actually have to speak up for yourself. So if you find yourself, anybody out there, defending yourself, pro se, or even if you have a public defender, or even if you hire an officer, or hire an attorney.
Well, it looks like you've got a few more members today, Lady J. Trinity gifted the third gift.
Oh, well, thank
Looks like
you.
Joe Coe, Kansas Copwatch got the gift. Thank you for being
Thank
a member. Hope you guys enjoy the perks and stay aboard.
Absolutely. Hey, hey, hey.
Thank you, Trinity, for the gift.
Thank you, Trendency.
Should citizens have the right to defend themselves? I've always thought this too. I've always thought this. I don't understand why you're not allowed to take them out if they're trying to take you out wrongly.
I think the UK, can I shout out the UK? I've seen officers get pretty beat up over there.
May I just, while you're saying that, hold that thought for a second. Tell us who's your favorite UK cop watcher auditor. I have a couple. I like Gypsy Auditor.
Gypsy Auditor.
Gypsy Auditor that's my kind of personality. I like his work. He does great work. And they try to stop him from filming. They try to lock him up, but that didn't work. So, he's out there. He's large and he's in charge in the Ukraine. Shout out to Gypsy Auditor. How about
In
you?
the
You
UK?
got another one you like?
Oh, gosh.
What's there? Queensland Cop Watch.
Queensland Copwatch, yes.
That's in Australia, I think, right?
Absolutely, Australia. We've got, cop watchers is a big thing.
It started here.
It started here, and it's growing, and it's going global, guys. How fabulous is that? Hey, hey, hey.
It sure is. It sure is. It's going global. And will rights go global? Because it's a mindset. It's not
It's a mindset.
just because they write it in books, dude. If the people of the world begin to understand that these are inherent rights, a mindset, more than a belief, ideas cannot be killed. You
That's
know,
right.
they can try to kill the people that believe something or that's their ideal, but they can't get rid of the idea.
That's right. Uh, Free speech and free thought must never go away.
Never, never. Let's check the Gmail one more time and find out if maybe his feet have gotten warmed up. He's gotten some warm toesy toesies. If you guys like what you're seeing here, would you please thumb up the video? Make sure you got the bell rung. Subscribe. Share it to your favorite social media sites off of YouTube. Tell us, why do you think some officers use their power to provoke and intimidate? If officers aren't held accountable, what message is that sending? Well, I'll tell you what message it sent me. That there is no justice.
That's
That
right.
is a fake, uh, yellow brick road thing.
Exactly. It also tells me that tyranny is much deeper than we thought, than we think.
Yeah, tyranny goes deep, and sometimes it's heritage.
Heritage, right?
Right. When you run into Arkansas and northwest Arkansas, and you're up going through some curvy mountain pass, and then all of a sudden you're going through Eureka Springs and you run into some KKK tyranny, and they don't let you have your justice there, do they?
No, they don't.
Don't shine a flashlight at any officers in Arkansas, okay, people?
And hell's to the bells if you dare ask a court clerk their name in Arkansas, because you'll have a judge without his judgery on,
Yep.
just sitting in the office
Dude was a
casually, and then about run you over when somebody else asks somebody their name, as if he's protecting his prized hen, if you know what I mean. That was just my
I think I know what you mean.
observation.
That was a good way to put it. I think I know what you mean. That was a little sort of what it felt like, honestly, to be honest with you guys. Oh, jeez. What
Well,
about that encounter? What did you think about that? Let's talk about it.
I just, considering I was I was the meat in y'all's sandwich, bread, I don't know. I thought it was a little bizarre that a judge would stoop so low.
How about judge accountability? What, can we
Right?
talk about judge accountability? Out here in Colorado, they're appointed. But we did find out we were wrong, guys, the other day. I guess every 4 years there is an election.
Well, it depends on where they're at.
And then they
It
have an
depends on,
appointment.
yeah, some places, like in the city, they're on their merit, like in Aurora, the township of Aurora, those judges are placed by merit. Out in Arapahoe County, which is the same county as Aurora, they are elected every 4 years. So they're voted in and they're voted out.
Uh-huh.
So I like that election thing. Do you know, I've never really voted for a judge. I've always voted judges out. Every single time when I was over there voting. Yep, they can get a job like a real person, if you ask me.
Right? Are cops just welfare recipients or do they help?
That's a good question.
Well, give it a shot. What do you think?
Well, I do believe their job is a type of welfare. When you cut through it and you analyze it and you look at it really close, they're paid by tax dollars. So their money is coming from taxed individuals that's paid into the system.
Right?
So that is a type of welfare.
Right? You're making a point here.
Right. So, yes, they are welfare recipients, I guess. I, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I didn't write it, so don't be mad at Lady J1A for delivering the message here today.
Oh, hey, Lady J1A, you know what I just figured out?
What?
You have seasons on your channel. That's amazing. I didn't know. You have hundreds of videos here. Tell me about your seasons.
Oh, I've got oodles of seasons, y'all. I've got the COPO, the Court of Public Opinion, where I highlight certain videos in that little area. I've got season 1, I've got season 2, season 3. Things didn't really start progressing until about season 3 or 4. I've got white shirts, where I was traveling around with one of the people, or people if you're so bold. Press harder, press now, press on. I've been running around with you for a while. You're in several seasons.
Well, what did you learn? What did you learn along the way? I mean,
What I learned along the way?
yeah, all these seasons and all these interactions. I think, let me check. I just want to go ahead and check right now. Isn't it true? Isn't it true, Lady Justice, that this video live stream is your 1000th upload?
I think I've already gotten my 1,000 uploads.
Did you already?
Yeah.
Well, talk about it, 1,000
I'm over
interactions.
1,000. Yes, over 1,000 documented police interactions from all over the United States, at least the 48 states. I have not been to Alaska. I have not been to Hawaii. At least not yet. Who knows, Sam? Especially if Canada becomes part of America, I'll be right on over.
I know, right?
I don't have a visa. I'm not going to get any kind of, so I can go through Canada. I have no desire at this moment for all that. So, yeah.
Would stricter punishments for misconduct even deter bad behavior from officers?
It could.
Well, I think so, because out here they don't have the qualified immunity, and it seems like they kind of monitor their own behavior. They don't even need their partner to do it too much.
That's right. But you know, the cops in Aurora have been found dirty. Bad dirty. And it's not Lady J1A that's going around stating this. I'm just the messenger delivering the news, so to speak.
We overall like DPD, but
Yeah.
don't they get a little excessive with the protesters sometimes?
They do. They get excessive with those that hold a camera in their hand. And that is inappropriate. And I'm talking about Officer Vasquez and Officer Kaufman. You two were the two initial officers, especially Officer Kaufman. I'm going to get on my soapbox, so to speak, right here. Officer Kaufman, I had not even stepped up to the point ever where Mr. Amazing was working. He was conducting his business, and he didn't speak up as quickly as you might have thought he should have said something. Mm-hmm. But yet you knew he was working. You knew there was a chance, a possibility. He might be press. Press doesn't have to look any certain way, officers.
No.
Press can, in fact, be anyone, officers. And you guys took an oath. You should know all 5 elements to the First Amendment inside and out, officers, because you did take an oath to uphold the Constitution. So you take oaths and you don't understand what you're taking an oath for? Is that what you would like me to think or believe? I don't think that or believe that for a moment. I don't. And if you can't stand up and do your job correctly in a stand-up way, then you need to step down, officers.
Wow. Very profound, Lady J.
Thank you, Mr. Amazing.
Thank you for your words. I value your words on this subject because of your experience being so vast and expansive. All 48 states and DC, you say, huh?
That is correct, Mr. Amazing.
Well,
I've got to see so many beautiful places. I've gotten to meet some very wonderful faces and shake some very lovely hands and have some very good conversations. And my experience, we do definitely need more police accountability. And I think officers should be wearing those cams from the minute they get on shift to the minute they clock out.
mm-hmm.
And they should not be able to be muted.
Mm-mm.
They should not.
No.
We should be able to know everything they do, everything they say while they're on duty and representing the people that they're getting paid to work for.
You're dang right. You're dang right.
There should not be any qualified immunity. It's already an
What is it
impossible.
for, anyways? I don't understand. They did that so cops would feel more comfortable in their job. It's horrible.
Yes. I think we're buffering.
Oh, are we buffering? Let me check it out, guys. Oh, I think we're good.
Okay.
Probably just my TV.
Okay. Yeah, I think there should not be any qualified immunity. Qualified immunity was brought aboard to make officers more accountable or more presentable to do their job, to make them not so fearful, oh, I'm not going to be sued if I take somebody into custody or whatever, or if I shoot somebody. Well, your job is an impossible job. We've already said that 1,000 times. If once, you know that your job is an impossible job, but yet you still signed up for it. So, I don't know. I don't think they should have all these extra tools that the average Joe don't have. I don't think they should have all that.
Lady J, I think we need to, you won't believe it, Tendency gifted one more membership, and it looks like it went to K-Eon NYC. He's your newest member that we've never seen before, so welcome him aboard.
Welcome aboard. And you said his name was K-N-Y?
K-Eon NYC.
Okay, thank you so much for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty
Here they
Press.
all are. Here's the people that are going to be loving the perks and expecting the perks.
Hey, hey, hey.
So you can go ahead and shout them out right now.
Well, I certainly will. Linda's Diamonds. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for being a channel member with Lady Justice, Liberty Press. Joe Co. KS Copwatch. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press. We've got Lori Van Hoosier. Hey, hey, hey. Longtime viewer. Most of y'all, thank you.
Yep, that's why K-Eon NYC, we love having you aboard. You came on over. Well, you never know when something free is, somebody's going to gift something around here.
That's right.
Also check out Copwatch Chronicle, man, because what we're going to and submit your story, because what we're going to start doing on the newsletter is we're gonna start doing raffles, guys.
Oh,
For the
fun,
submissions.
fun, guys. That's going to be awesome. I can't
Find a
wait.
way. We'll find a way to get something to you of value.
Hold on. Can Lady J1A win too?
If you do your submission, then you can win.
Oh, you got to submit a story, guys.
That's right. You gotta submit your story.
Get
if you
on
wanna
those
win
stories.
The raffle. We're gonna try to do a raffle one time a month from somebody that submitted their story.
That is fabulous news. So come on, let's start pressing.
I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something special. It'll be something unique. It might be an EFT, or it might be a cop's card that we signed and wrote a little message on for you. Or it might be a cop's card that we turned into an EFT that you can retain. That's actually worth something.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's
way.
actually pretty fabulous. And I also, while I'm shouting out, I want to shout out Sam out there from Alaska. Hey, thank you so much for climbing aboard as a channel member at Lady Justice Liberty Press, where we continue to press.
We dig deep like land dwellers do.
That's right.
Who's in? I'm in, guys.
Giddy up. 1A.
Should there be citizen oversight committees? Do they even have any power? Is it important that the citizen oversight committees have the power to fire officers they found wrongdoing with?
I think those citizen oversight committees.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah, blah.
We don't gonna talk fast. Everybody's chilling and listening, so feel comfortable, Lady J.
Well, thank you, Mr.
You're doing a
Amazing.
great job.
I think they are very important. We need our checks and our balances all through our government. Always film the police, always film government, guys, is what I say. So yeah, we do need to have those checks and balances in place with citizenships, oversight committees.
They gotta have some teeth, man. They don't have any teeth to do anything at all. So what's it matter? I mean, I wouldn't even. How disappointing you come up with a report that somebody should be fired, and then they don't fire them, and you don't have the power to fire them. It's like, well, okay, I think I'll start taking bribes now because I mean, you're not having an effective. Does that make sense, or is that just stupid mentality I got? I don't know, man. But if they don't have, what are you paying them for? Like they don't have any teeth, ability to do anything. What about Mike? How can Mike get justice now, Lady J? Do you think that the only justice he'll ever see? Oh, here's Mike.
Hey.
Hey, we got Mike
We
in
got
the chat.
Mike Torres
Everybody.
on board. Fabulous having you aboard. Thank you for climbing aboard.
Yeah, man, we sent you the link in your email, man. We'd love to have you up. I definitely have some questions. I think everyone else does too. And definitely got everybody warmed up and primed up, man, waiting for you.
Whatever you want to say, if you want to climb aboard, that would be absolutely fabulous.
It sure as heck would. We've been waiting on you, my friend. My hero. Okay, not my hero. Maybe I went too far, man, but I sure do.
Well, I don't know. When he was punching away that officer, he was my hero. I mean, not too many folks allow a cop to punch him in the back of the head like that, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he was defending himself,
It looked like he was defending himself to me, man.
Yes.
I didn't see.
I mean, anybody else punch you in the back of the head like that, you have the right just to defend yourself, right? And he already has different, post-traumatic stress disorder. I think it's safe to assume this officer knows this, is aware of something. He just wanted to push, and that's inappropriate.
It is.
Stop it, officer. Stop it. It's inappropriate. Uncalled for.
It is.
Knock it off. Just saying.
We're waiting for you to come on up,
Oh,
Mike.
he says checking in now.
Okay,
Thank you,
that's
thank you
good,
so
bro.
much.
That's good. We're so glad you're here, man. We're so glad you made it. Thanks for coming on.
And thanks for each and every one of you that stuck aboard for this interview. I think you're going to not regret that you stuck around.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you all for sticking around. This is definitely a special moment. We're going to let Mike tell his story. He submitted in to the Copwatch Chronicle blog. It took a lot of courage, and we
Yes.
appreciate you getting up the courage to come up here and talk with us about it, man.
That's
So
right.
I'll wait for you to sign in, and then we'll bring you up on stage, okay? Up on the panel, I mean. Meanwhile, guys in the chat, let's show Mike some love. You've seen him in action. You've seen what he's about. And what do you think? Tell us what you think, guys. All right, I'm seeing him backstage, man. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Josephine.
I see you. I can hear you.
What up, Mike? Hold on. Let's give you a second to give me a second, pretty please, to get everything all lined up here.
And we'll be able to hear him, correct?
Well, we should be able to hear him as long as he's got his microphone turned on and everything.
Okay.
I'm sure he checked that before he came in. Yeah, maybe you need to put on your earbuds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change the layout here too, so we got a little bit better of a. Okay. Can you guys hear Mike, everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Yes, I can hear. Howdy, Mike Torres. Thank you for being aboard today. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Would you introduce yourself to everybody, Mike, and let them know
Yes.
how this all began?
Yes. So my name is Michael Torres, and this all began. You want me to start from the beginning of the story here?
Yes, please.
All right. Earlier that morning on January 5th, 2023, I had woke up. And at the time, I was really manic as I go through manic episodes. And my car was one of the things I was protecting in my manic state. And so I went out to go check my vehicle. And while I was out there, I noticed a Camaro that was idling. And it had a guy sitting in the driver's seat. He was chin to chest, unresponsive. I tried to wake him up, tried to get some type of response from him, but I got nothing. And I noticed that there was a needle hanging out of his arm. When I noticed that, I thought that he was ODing or already dead. So I called authorities to come check on him and did a welfare check for him. When they got there, I have PTSD from a previous police brutality incident when I was in high school. And I don't really do well being around police. So I went ahead and jumped on my little electric scooter and I went for a ride in the neighborhood. That ride lasted for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And when I come back, my neighbor asked me for the information for our new tow company in the complex so that she could park a visitor's car. And so I went to grab the paperwork for her and walk it back to the visitor's parking lot area. As I was doing that, I noticed the officer searching the car, and that's where I come into the video. His car door, the Camaro's car door, was hitting my car. And I simply told the officer that the Camaro's door was hitting my car to please remove it. And he answers me with, fuck you, get out of here, bitch. And
Completely unprofessional.
Completely unprofessional. And now his answering to me was in retaliation from the last time he came over to my apartment. He had jumped out yelling that I have mental issues and I was having a mental breakdown, and he just wasn't happy to be there. I told him we didn't need his attitude out here, as the other officers were calming me down, actually. And then he charged me for a fight, tried to get me to walk in front of his cruiser and fight him, obviously because there's a video camera that would show me walking toward him so that he could attack me. I didn't end up fighting him that day, but I did call his supervisor, and his supervisor threatened that they would put charges on me if his officer ever hit me, and I retaliated and hit him back. At that point, I just let him know, well, I've already told you that I will defend myself, so that's the end of this conversation, and I hung up. Yes.
Yeah.
You said you were wondering about that?
Yes. Please highlight all that retaliation business. Yes.
Yeah, like, well, I was wondering about the 1996 attack.
Yeah.
Yes, in 1996, I was in high school. We had just gotten the bell for lunch, and I was walking to lunch. My school I was going to Ellison High School in Killeen, Texas, KISD school district, and there were gangs in that school, and at the time, 2 gang members were fighting each other. As they were fighting, I was walking past them, and I looked up, and the main officer in the school, he was known as Boss Man. He looked like the WWF wrestler Boss Man from the early 80s and 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. And so he was given that name, that nickname. Well, when I warned him that there was a fight and let him know to go over there, he ran up and elbowed me in the back of the head. At that point, I stood back up, and when I stood up, he slammed my head into a metal window pane, which is the window pane to the counselor's office at the time, and then started slamming my head 25 times on a wooden table, where he didn't stop. He told me to put my hands behind my back, but they were pinched in front of me, and this man was a heavy bodybuilder, and I was barely 115 pounds at the time. When I said that this is police brutality, he finally lifted off of me, told me that he could take me to jail for obstructing justice, and then took the handcuffs off of me and let me go. At that point, we tried to put litigation against the school district and the police department, and that's when everything got crazy.
You was a junior in high school when this took place, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was a junior in high school when this took place. And in a military town, as a matter of fact. So not even the JAG lawyers wanted to deal or had the gusto to go against the police department. They literally told us that they're too powerful and there's nothing that they could do for us, and they would not fight for us in any way. The school eventually, so there was a janitor at the school who was cleaning the school and overheard the officer and the principal of the school at the time conspiring against me. She went up to my mother while my mother was picking up my sisters from elementary school one day and asked my mother, hey, is your son the one that got beat up by the officer last week? My mother says, yes, that was him. And she said, well, you need to watch out because I overheard the principal and the officer conspiring against your son. It'd probably be best to get him out of the school. So at that point, my mother freaked out. She wanted to pull me from the school, and I told her no, I would not leave the school. So we went to the school and confronted the principal on this. And lo and behold, that was the last time I ever saw of or heard of that janitor. I don't know if they deported her, if they fired her, what they did to her, but she just totally disappeared from the equation after that. And the very next year, when I went into school, my electives were changed up. My brother's electives were changed up. He was doing his freshman year at the high school. And my brother was a straight A student. They damaged his curriculum record, put him in classes that he never tried to do, and almost messed up his ability to graduate high school just because of me. He ended up having to do a lot of work. Me, I got off lucky, if you could say, because I was failing high school at the time. But Ellison High School, what they did, they had the counselor call me into her office and tell me to drop out of school. Mind you, I'd never had any issues with the principal. I wasn't getting suspended or anything like that. And my grades were about B and C grades. So I wasn't the best student in the school, but I wasn't failing either. And she pulled me to the side and tried to get me to quit and drop out of school. And at the time, I told her no.
You weren't a troubled child.
I wasn't. I was involved. I did get involved in some gangs, but I wasn't a big runner in the gangs. So I didn't really I didn't agree with causing a lot of trouble and hurting people. So I would stay away from all that stuff. And luckily for me, I was able to get out of the gangs after I graduated in high school. But back to that, in order to graduate, they didn't want me in the school anymore. They didn't want it coming public. So what they did is they gave me extra credits. You needed 30 credits to graduate. I had 28. They gave me 36 credits and graduated me almost at the top of my class to get me out of there. I never had all my sciences. I never had all my math, and I never took PE, which at the time, those 3 requirements you had to have in order to graduate. They gave me credits for all 3 of those for every year I was there, even though I never did them. I only have a 9th grade education when it comes to science. So basic science is all I have. I never got anything else in Killeen Independent School District. And
this ordeal did in fact affect your education.
Yes, it definitely affected my education. And
Wow.
since then, I've just, I guess because I never got justice for it.
Bowman attacked you when you were only a witness.
This I don't know. I still to this day do not know. He denies ever attacking me. He denies even touching me. It happened underneath a video camera that they had just installed like maybe 6 months prior. And they deleted all of the footage. At the time, it was analog type video cameras. So you had videotapes. Well, they got rid of all of that footage and claimed that there was no footage, no evidence, even though there were over 1,000 students that watched him beat me up, including the 2 that were fighting, stopped fighting to watch him beat me up.
Wow.
I hate that abusers deny the attack. How can you take a child's head and mash it 25 times and then deny you did that?
That was something that Officer Bowman, his name is actually John Bowman. That was what he would actually do to all students. That was something he was known for doing. I actually watched him. 2 students were fighting outside the school in the courtyard, and he took one of the students and slammed his head against the wall, and blood splattered on the wall when he slammed his head. The kid ended up having to go to the hospital. No charges were filed on him at that time either. They covered that one up as well. Ellison High School in Killeen, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, the superintendent
denies it, and the administration, they deny it too, huh?
too. They totally covered it up, and they actually gave the principal at the time is now the superintendent of that school district.
Sounds like some Freemason shit, man. Like he did right, and they gave him a promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They also promoted Officer Bowman at the specific time. They claim that Officer Bowman wasn't working with the police department, but I can tell you now that he was, because he gave tickets on Rancier Boulevard after school hours and drove a Killeen Independent School, a Killeen Police Department cruiser and wore KPD uniforms to work. Whether he was at the school or not, he wore a KPD uniform. But KPD swears up and down that he was not a KPD officer at the time, basically to keep themselves out of the issue.
So what steps did you take to seek justice back then?
That's an important question.
We looked for lawyers. We tried JAG lawyers. We tried lawyers all around Texas. My parents did whatever they could do to try to find some type of legal assistance in it. And all we found were roadblocks. Everywhere we went, everybody said, no, we're not going to fight this one. I'm sorry. They just didn't want to deal with Killeen Independent School District or KPD at the time, as they were way too powerful. A few years down the line, they arrested me for having
What was the last incident that happened to you?
in Killeen, Texas, or
Just with the police, I guess, in general.
the
Most recent officer involved incident.
okay, the most recent officer involved incident would be with Officer Charles. When I first met Officer Charles, I had pulled him aside, and I pulled the other officers, including the officer that drove me to the jail. I pulled them aside and let them know, look, guys, I have PTSD from police brutality. I don't give you guys an inch. I tend to be very irate when it comes to you guys. And I apologized beforehand, and I had apologized to him for the last time I had seen him, where he apparently could not take the lady because she was under drugs and alcohol, under the influence, and the jail wouldn't accept her and the hospital wouldn't accept her, but she kept assaulting me. I lost my temper because I kept telling them, do your job, because I'm going to lose my temper on this woman and I don't want to hurt her. And at one point they took her away, but they dropped her off down the street and she came back assaulting me again. So by this point, you could figure I was really irate, telling the officers to do their effing jobs, and that I shouldn't have to keep calling them out here like this. And so I was apologizing for the way I treated them that day. And I was telling them, hey, man, look, I want to give you guys respect. I want to treat you guys. You're just people just like me. But sometimes I don't see it that way. I said, sometimes I'm not able to think. I'm just angry with you guys. And they apologized for their actions. I apologized. We spoke. And the only officer there that had an issue with me being a victim of police brutality was Officer Charles. He started snickling at me the minute I did it. His body language got aggressive the minute I said something. And so I called my parents later on that day and I told them, I asked them to record the conversation because I knew that a situation like what occurred with me and Officer Charles was on the horizon. And I told them, I said, this officer's going to come after me. He's going to try to set me up and I'm going to end up fighting this man. I know it, Mom and Dad. I said, record this conversation so we have evidence that I approached somebody prior to this situation that this was going to occur. They didn't take much stock in it, and they didn't have a recording a device anyway, so they didn't really record the conversation. And 6 months later, 3 months later down the line, this situation right here occurs. And then, mind you, Officer Charles knew that that was my car, because the day he tried to charge me in front of his office, front of his vehicle, I had called him for my car. Say again?
More about your relationship with the car?
Yes. So the car was a Mazda RX-8 R3. It was a very rare version of the Mazda RX-8. They only made 450 copies of them.
You must loved it a lot.
I did, and I was really protective over it because on top of it being rare, they only made black in specific years. So getting it painted black again was very expensive because they only did it for 1 year, and only like 100 cars were colored in black. And I had one of them. On top of that, my previous RX-7 was stolen, so I was very protective of this one to where nobody would steal it.
I have another question.
Yes.
Another question?
Oh, I have another question. The cops make you very uncomfortable, and I think you're kind of a hero for calling on the guy, but I did have some questions about that. What happened to the guy? Have you seen him yet since?
Yes, they actually put me in the same cell with him that day. I had to let them know that I was the reason that he was in the cell. So he had stolen that Camaro from the car dealership down the road. And they were actually looking for that Camaro for about a week or two. So when they woke him up, they put him in the cruiser, and he was actually in the cruiser while me and the officer were fighting. When we get to the station, that's when I let the officers know, hey, you guys can't have me in the same cell as him because I'm the reason he's in jail right now. And they moved me from the cell. But I never had any confrontation or any communication with the guy.
Now, this guy looks like a lunatic in the video. He just came up and started popping you right in the face, man, immediately.
Yeah.
Yes, he led with the punch. It looks like he's grabbing me in the video, but he leads with a punch and punches me he punched me with an overhand right and hit me on the right side of my face. And this was something that I've tried to speak to police about, tried to make statements about. They would never take my statement. That in order for me to have been walking up to him or being aggressive to him, I would have had to have been facing him. I said I wasn't facing him because I was looking at my car. I was walking toward my car to assess the damage. Yes, I was yapping my jaw, but I was walking toward the car to assess the damage when he punched me in the face, and he busted my lip on the right side. And I didn't even see the punch coming. It was a complete sucker punch.
You did good to defend yourself, man. What made you come back, man?
What do you mean come back?
Like when you left on your scooter, you came back?
Yes.
Oh, my scooter was running out of electricity. Yeah, it was running out of power, and I figured that they were gone by now.
And I think, after an hour and a half, it would be safe to assume that that person had their welfare check. If they needed medical would have came and gone. I think you were safe to assume after an hour and a half, they would have been gone.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping, but unfortunately they were not.
He damaged your car, right?
I believe he intentionally damaged it. As when I first looked, I saw him tapping the door with his butt. So that was originally what triggered me, because he knew that was my car and he knew I was defensive over it. And that made me mad right there immediately. When he answered me the way he did, it just set me off.
Yeah, it appears that the officer was trying to do whatever he could do to get under your
He
skin.
was trying to provoke him into a reaction.
Yes.
Yes.
How
And as a matter,
inappropriate.
you hear her say, "Oh shit," when he starts to come after me.
Well, it sounds
That's
like this
because that's
officer-
not the first time she witnessed it.
I see. Sounds like this officer is very comfortable being a tyrant.
Yes, because he gets away with it.
Viewers, what do you think would have happened if he didn't fight back, man? Like the cop really would have went at him.
I think he probably would have killed him.
He definitely would have paralyzed me, because when he punches me, he also tries to throw me to the floor. When he tried to throw me to the floor, I rotated in the direction of the slam, and instead of landing on my back on the concrete, which I had an injured back at the time, I was walking with a cane. That particular day, I didn't bring my cane out as I had just gotten off of the scooter and I wasn't going to walk far. If I would have landed on my back on that concrete, I would have hit that cinder block, the parking block there. And that more than likely would have paralyzed me due to the injuries I already have to my back. I knew that as I was getting slammed, and that's why I rotated and I landed on my feet, thank God. So the whole time I was in fear.
Chat here. Someone asked, how did the school manipulate your education to keep you quiet? They asked.
The graduating. They figured we graduate this kid, he leaves, we don't have to deal with him no more. The story's gone. He's graduated. He won't have to come back. He won't be able to come back.
It kind of makes sense. So it does appear, allegedly, that the school was in league, if you will, with law enforcement.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
The job that I injured myself at, I was working and installing workout equipment for people. There were two customers that we had. One was Chuck Norris, and the other one was a retired officer who also did PTSD counseling for soldiers. And he used to work for the Killeen Police Department in the 90s. While I was installing workout equipment at his house, we started talking, and he knew of Officer John Bowman, and he knew of his antics. And what he told me, he says, look, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I hope this is some type of constellation. I know it may not be. He said, but I worked for the police department at the time. And it's sad because the way they trained those officers was exactly what they did. They trained those officers to be rough. And eventually we found their training to be wrong and completely changed everything. He said, but they were trained to treat you the way they treated you, and they were given immunity in case anything were to happen. So they were already they had already protected the officers with immunity before they granted them the ability to literally do whatever they wanted with the students. And it wasn't until later down the line that they changed that. Yeah.
Let's talk about the cover-up.
Okay.
So obviously, why do you think the hospital records mysteriously disappeared like that?
Because an officer bit me. While I was fighting that officer, Officer Charles, as the other officers behind me trying to grab me, he was trying to rake at my glasses and rip my glasses off of my face. I know one thing about self-defense is that if you are being attacked, you match the attacker's aggression and up it by 10%. That's how you win an attack from an attacker. Well, as he was swiping for my glasses, I started swiping for his eyes. And one of those points, he bit my finger, my ring finger on my left hand, and would not let it go. I asked him to let it go 3 times. He said he wouldn't let it go. He bit down harder every time. So this way at this point, I rotated my hand in his mouth. My finger was already broken. I rotated my hand in his mouth and took my pointer finger and pushed it into his eyeball to get him to let go. That's where you hear him saying, "Tase him, tase the motherfucker." That's where you hear that, because my finger's in his eye at that moment.
Okay.
Now, when we get to the hospital,
He needed saving.
yeah, he needed saving. The way I get to the hospital is I was in jail and I had told them I had been bitten. They didn't want to give me medical attention.
You bit an officer's finger.
That's a felony. If you bite an officer, if you bite anybody, that is a felony.
Probably would have shot you.
Yes, I had to take antibiotics for 2 weeks. It almost looked like a Z-Pack. It was in an aluminum foil package, and I had to take them. It was a strong antibiotic for 2 weeks because of the human bite wound that I was suffering from, to make sure that no infections came from that. I told the doctors, make sure you put it on the paperwork that I was bit by a police officer, not just a human. They said they put it on there. I asked the transporting officer, I said, make sure that goes in my file. He says, I have it in my hand right here. His name was Officer Schumann. Officer Schumer. I told him, I says, make sure you have that. He says, I have it in my hand and we are not going to lose it. I'm going to make sure they get it. Tell me why now none of that exists. My trip to the hospital doesn't exist. And as a matter of fact, my trip to the hospital, I played a fainting game in the cell so that they would take me to the hospital, because they were not going to take me to the hospital. So I faked like I fainted. Then they rushed in the cell and took me to the hospital. And that's when I got treated for a human bite wound.
So how does post-traumatic affect how people react to the police interactions?
With me, it's difficult because when I get around police, I immediately start feeling like I need to defend myself. I immediately feel like I'm in danger and that they're coming after me. They don't even have to be looking at me. The fear is always there that they want me. And for me, that's not good, because I transfer fear into aggression. You back me up against the wall. My fight or flight is not to run. My fight or flight is to fight. And that's not good when it comes to police.
That is true. That is so true.
And so I try to avoid them at all cost. I don't call them. Yes, I've learned since that situation, I don't call them no more. I had a friend and neighbor who was threatening to commit suicide recently, and I knew the police had to be there, but I didn't want to call them. So I went to the front office and asked the manager to call them, and she literally looked at me and says, "Why won't you call them?" I told her why, and she said, "That doesn't matter." She was like, "Somebody needs them." I said, "Well, they're going to want to question me, and I'm not going to talk to them. So if you want something done, I think you need to call them." And she called them up. And I went inside. I watched from a distance, but I never came close. And luckily for me, the officers never came and asked me any questions, because, as I said, I don't like to deal with them. So I wasn't going to talk to them.
So if you don't mind me going back to, what ways did the department conspire against your brother?
My brother was an honor student. He was an A student all through his school career. When he got to Ellison High School, all of a sudden he was a D and an F student. All of a sudden he was getting he was getting in trouble, which my brother never got in trouble. He didn't do anything. He was an artist. He would enter competitions, art competitions, and they would shun him off to the side. They would let him in it, but he got shunned. No matter how good he was, no matter what his talent is. Now he owns a tattoo shop, so he's doing really well. He came out of that pretty well, but they put him, we are Puerto Rican, but me and my younger brother did not grow up speaking Spanish. So when he did electives for the school year, he wanted art, they gave him Spanish. He couldn't learn that Spanish, obviously, because it's a Spaniard Spanish they're teaching us, and we've heard all of our life a Puerto Rican dialect. So when we're sitting here listening to these words they're teaching us, me and my brother are like, nah, we don't say that. That's not what we say. We had no idea that it was just a different dialect, and it just wasn't clicking with us, and it never clicked with us. My brother ended up graduating, but he graduated as a C and a B student instead of an A student. He had to fight hard to get his credits and graduate high school. The minute we graduated, my family took the opportunity to move out of Killeen, and we never went back to Killeen. We just left the city and never went back.
That is fair. I don't think I would have wanted to go back. No way.
No way. I'm afraid that if I ever go back to Killeen, that I have to worry about the police coming after me. I have to worry about their retaliations. Because as my PTSD, I like to, if you're the one that caused me trauma, then, well, I'm going to cause you some as well. And I have called the police department, and, you know, I've made officers cry because of the way I've spoken to them on the phone about letting Officer Bowman just walk free and get promotions and be in the newspaper for being such a great guy, when truth be told, he's nothing but a child beater. And it's like I told the officers, I said, that officer might not have physically murdered me that day, but he murdered my soul that day. And he changed who I was from that day forward.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Mike. He did change you forever. You're never going to be that same person again.
It's like when my guard attacked me.
That is absolutely horrible. Officers should not ever be allowed to do that and get away with it. Security guards should never be allowed to do that and get away with it. Nobody should be able to attack another individual, especially unprovoked, and from behind too, to boot. That's just inappropriate.
Let's make sure there's nothing else that he didn't tell us that he wants to say.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about any of your events that you've experienced?
Yes. Well, with the most recent charge, there was another thing I wanted to point out. While I was facing charges for the assault on Officer Charles, or the defense on Officer Charles, Officer Charles tried to lie and tell the court that I threatened to murder him on a 911 call. This was to get himself out of trouble, because he was being suspended for the way he acted. And as a matter of fact, the AI report stated he was suspended because he put the lives of me, him, and the other officers that were in the area in danger when he acted the way he acted that day.
Those alleged 911 calls should have been part of, they should have looked for them. They should have tried to find them, and that should have been brought out in your trial.
my defense attorney tried to ask him for that. He said, well, if Michael threatened to murder you in a 911 call, then we need the evidence. We need the 911 call. They never produced the 911 call, yet at court, it was still something that was a subject.
Oh, but I believe that 100. They're able to put up evidence without that 901's proper submission of evidence and just let the jury see, tinting the jury, in Mr. Amazing's case anyway. I understand. It's dirty pool all the way around.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, I think the only reason that I beat the charges here because they tried first for assaulting an officer, then resisting arrest, and then they finally dropped it. They dropped it because I stood on my rights.
Right.
I did not fold.
Could you tell us in detail how it made you feel to be betrayed by the people who are meant to protect you?
It was devastating. I used to look up to police officers growing up until this happened with John Bowman. I looked up to them because when I was younger, a man tried to come in and murder the family. When this happened, the man had pistol whipped me 2 days prior to coming into the house. I was about 5 or 6 years old. He got arrested for pistol whipping me, and they let him out 24 hours later. Well, when he came out, they gave him his gun back. He came straight to my house and tried to my apartment and tried to murder my mother, me, and my brothers. My mother fought him off, and the Harker Heights police came and arrested him. We never saw him again. So for the longest, they were like my heroes. I knew that they were there to protect. They were protecting me. I thought I was safe. When this happened, and I saw that they weren't there to protect me, they were there to protect Officer Bowman. That changed everything. It completely flipped my world upside down. I had been actually thinking maybe one day I would be a police officer. But after that happened and I saw how they treat people, I realized, no, that's not something I want to be, because I couldn't be around bad officers and keep my mouth shut, which means I wouldn't be able to keep a career there.
Yes.
Involvement with the police impacted your education at your school district. Could you be more descriptive?
Yes. So my final year at Ellison High School was, I would say, traumatic to say the least. Officer Bowman and his partner, which was a Harker Heights police officer at the time, would harass me while walking down the hallways.
Oh, that's
no matter what I was doing, they would harass me and try to use their power to intimidate me. I was never the one to be intimidated by power, and they did not like that. I had a smart mouth on me. They didn't like it. They caught me one night after school with my buddies. We were going out to Stillhouse Lake in Harker Heights. And we had a little bit of marijuana. We were going to go sit by the lake and enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And we were just, we were testing the waters at the time. Well, the officer caught us and arrested me. Granted, I'd never been arrested in Killeen or Harker Heights ever in my life up until this point. They suspended my driver's license, in which I did not have. I wasn't even driving. I was a passenger in the vehicle. They charged me as if this was my second offense. They literally made up a second charge and said I'd been arrested before for marijuana. And in the court, that was actually used to put a more broad punishment onto me. The person that was driving the car, they said he was the passenger, and they didn't give him anything. They gave me all the charges. They did arrest him that night, but he didn't have to go through what I had to go through.
Got pulled over by a dirty cop.
Yeah.
What do you
Say again?
What do you think was trying to be accomplished by pressuring you not to graduate? How would that silence your voice? Like, I'm just confused with they used it to.
They wanted me to be afraid of their power.
Okay.
They wanted me to be afraid of their power. They wanted me to see what they can do.
And it kind of sounds like they.
Hello? I lost you guys. There we go. I hear you again.
We're 5 by 5.
Thank you, everyone. Like I was saying, it sounds like this might be a type of organized harassment. Have you ever thought about contacting the FBI or maybe the state attorney general?
Fabulous question.
I never have. To be honest, I never really had any type of direction on this. I've just lived with it. I've never asked any questions. I just figured if my father, who was high ranked in the military, was not able to do anything, then what was I going to be able to do? And so I dropped it and just lived with it.
You know, I read somewhere there are statistics out there. 72% of those that are victimized by officers never report it. They never file a complaint. They just go on with their lives. 72%.
Yes.
That's why it's good that you reached out to the Copwatch Chronicle and you put your story out there, man, and we got you up here so you could tell your story today. If you have any other interactions with police, man, share them to the Copwatch Chronicle again. We're also going to be doing raffles, dude. So the more submissions that you make, the more chances that you win the prize for the month.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. That sounds fun.
Thank you for coming on today, Mike, man, and we sure appreciate you being a part of all of this. I'm sorry for what happened to you, man. I actually wouldn't mind collaborating with you to see if maybe there's a way. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe I'm kind of savvy with paperwork and chat GPT. If you want to talk about it, maybe we could find you some financial compensation, but it would be a long battle.
I'm down for it. I understand it would be a long battle because these are powerful people that like to hide behind that power.
They should not be allowed to treat individuals like this, the people that they're working for. They should not be able to treat juniors in high school. I mean, you was a minor, you know. This started a lifelong journey that I'm afraid you're never gonna be that same kid in high school ever again.
No, I won't.
Get your voice to be heard in Washington even or something instead. Maybe that's a better way for justice for you forward, is just having your voice be heard.
Sometimes that's the justice we need.
The only justice you'll get.
Yeah, sometimes, and that may be the only justice I'll get. I will say this in closing. There was one thing that I've realized through all of this, and one thing that has been the same in both situations, is when an officer attacks you, they are going to say that you did the attacking, that you caused it. You are going to get charges for the officer doing that. So you may as well stand up and defend yourself instead of just letting the officer take your life or paralyze you or completely ruin you for the rest of your life.
The opinions represented here on Lady Justice are the opinions of the members and
viewers, yes.
Not necessarily the opinions of Lady Justice herself.
Yes.
or the opinions of this channel. However, we all know what Lady J1A is very vocal about her 1A opinions and thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I also, while we're out here, I do want to highlight Mr. Amazing over there at Copwatch Chronicles. If you have a story, positive or negative, that you would like to share on Copwatch Chronicles, please get a hold of Mr. Amazing over there at jbates3171@gmail.com and give him your stories.
That's right. We're doing raffles, guys. Hey, Mike, we're going to let you go. We sure appreciate
Thank
you being
you.
up here, man. And if you think of more you want to say, I'd be happy to bring you back up again.
Absolutely, and I'm so sorry for your experiences that you've
Me too, man.
endured.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you guys for having me on the show today.
Much love, man. Much love.
Much love and much respect for you.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too.
Well, there you have it,
Wow.
guys. What a
Wow.
story.
What
We
a
got
story.
to hear it. I'm glad we stuck around. That was an amazing story. What do you guys think?
So amazing.
Wow, let's check it out and
And
look at it some more.
Absolutely.
Again.
This young man has gone through so much, and since a junior in high school, he's had to endure being beat up and beat down.
It's gang stalking. I mean, it's organized. I shouldn't say. It's
Well,
organized harassment, really, isn't
It's
it, guys?
organized
Feels
harassment.
like to me.
And not only was that organized harassment just for his local PD as well, and his own brother endured it as well.
I don't
But
know.
it also was a school district that was involved.
That's what
Shame
they do
on
too.
you, school
They take it out
district.
on your friends.
Shame
Guilt by
on you.
association. They'll take it out on your family. They bring down the highest, most achievable member of your family, right? The one most likely to succeed. They'll go after them.
Hey, Keebler.
Oh,
How are you doing today? Fabulous having you aboard with Lady Justice Liberty Press. I want to shout out Keebler Danger, no sugarcoating truth. She is doing some fabulous work out there with her music.
that's right. You got your wrench. Make sure you put your link in here.
Absolutely,
I want to help get
please.
you to where you get the watch time you need.
You guys go over, listen to her music. I'm serious. Put it out there on a playlist and just let it roll. She's really doing some fabulous work.
I'm loving it, dude.
I
I let
am.
the playlist play in the morning, and then I just really enjoy it. I get in the shower, I start my chores, I do my dishes, and I cook, all with Keebler's playlist on there. The most amazing songs. She really works hard on the scripting, you can tell, and I guess AI helps pull it all together into really great music.
Well,
So
not
check it
only
out.
just doing your chores around the house, hey, you've got a drive, a commute, a sea from Shining Sea to go for. Put that playlist on so you can drive to it.
That's right. Keebler has some really special music, guys. It's not just veteran stuff either. I noticed
No.
that some people
She's
think
got
that,
cop
but
watch stuff,
there's a lot of
watcher
First
stuff.
Amendment stuff.
First Amendment,
Yep.
yes. Yes,
A lot of really
absolutely.
cool music, actually. Check it out.
And hey, she's also, it's her music that I've got on my outros now, guys. Just highlighting Keebler. Thank you, Keebler. We love you.
That's right. We sure do. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen here. I want to show everybody what the page looks like.
Yes.
Here goes Keebler's page. Let's play a little bit of the music, okay?
We're gonna drop whatever you want out there and
Freedom Fighters Rock. Let's check it out, guys. This one was a cool one. Okay. We got it up on the screen.
this
Are we
is
going to have
Keebler
sound?
Danger.
In the fire of the night, we feel the spark. We rise from the ashes, we leave a mark. On the streets, we stand tall. Together we rise, we'll never fall. A voice in the storm, we won't back down. We're taking this fight to every town. We fight. Can you hear the call? We rise. We won't be ignored. We stand tall. We stand. We won't fall. We fight. We roar.
We fight and we rock. You guys got to go over there and check out the music, okay?
I want to shout out Michigan Constitutional Crusader. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for climbing aboard with Lady Justice, Liberty Press.
Hey, and I don't know if you guys remember the cookie store incident, but I've been following the case very closely, and my friend Amy Hall was denied a lawyer on her case without the due process it
This
takes.
is disgraceful, guys. This story is disgraceful from start to finish. Continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you commented in there and gave us your piece on it. What it is that she had a bit of a physical confrontation inside of a cookie store in Oregon over masks and a baseball bat, basically. So what happened is we're thinking that she's going to get released, but she's already done years. I think
About
today
3.
or tomorrow actually represents it is the actual anniversary of her end date to prison for like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah,
guys.
she's been in there like 3
Yeah,
years.
and it may be determined that she was actually wrongfully imprisoned.
Well, hopefully there'll be a speedier release date.
Yeah, like last year.
Yeah, last year. She should have never gone, honestly. She was physically attacked by a store owner who was demanding her to wear a mask while inside her store.
Without medical training.
Exactly. Even though there had been provisions, if you will, there were people that didn't have to wear masks.
Amy only wanted to talk anyway. She had paperwork in her hands. She was trying to show the lady the law.
Exactly.
All she wanted to do was talk about the law. The lady came up and she bumped her or tapped her or something, and she officially touched her with the bat.
With a baseball
And
bat.
then she got that bat taken away from her. It was pretty bad scene. But I love Amy. Her and her channel is Mandatory Freedom, and her and Polyaudits Audits really did some great damage. I mean, help to Oregon during COVID with regard to freedoms and rights.
Well, the state of Oregon has now rewritten their laws, making it a lot more user-friendly for the layperson over there in the state of Oregon.
Yeah, it's supposed to be easy enough to understand that even a high school graduate, so no cops can violate it and then think that their interpretation was all that mattered.
Right.
You guys heard Mike's story, and I just would like to say, has anyone else in the chat ever experienced betrayal from their law enforcement at some point in your life? If you have, please tell us in the comments. We'll even drop a link. This is an open invite for you to come up and talk just like Mike did with his story. Or maybe you want to submit your story and have us take a look at it, and then later on we could bring you up if you want. And you can even remain anonymous. We could distort your voice or whatever. We'll ask you some questions about what happened to you, and all it starts with is submitting your story over at Copwatch Chronicle. That's JBATES31717 at gmail.com. Maybe you can come on the show. We'll do an interview.
I absolutely would love to have anyone that would be interested to have an interview on the show.
Maybe you just want to read some stories of other people's cop watch involvement or their cop police officer interactions. Then you just need to go over to beehive.com/copwatchchronicle and then sign up for the newsletter by putting your email into the query there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the newsletter where you can still have your voice be heard. It's an amazing newsletter called Copwatch Chronicle. The link is in the description below. If you have a police interaction story that you would like to share, submit it to that email address and you could tell us in detail how it made you feel betrayed by the people who are meant to protect you.
So you think involvement with the police is heavily impacted educations?
Well, yeah. Do you think that Mike's involvement really heavily impacted his education at the school district?
Yep.
What do you guys think?
He actually said it did, and he felt like it even impacted his brother's education as well. That's really sad.
So, if anyone in the audience has something that they want to talk about or they want to consult, you have something similar like this and you want to talk on the phone for a small fee, you can talk with me anytime you want by phone at 720-807-2660. I cannot give legal advice. But we can talk about how to use the internet and
That's
social
right.
media to make money.
It's just people working together to help people.
That's right.
That's it. Talking amongst yourselves.
That's what they really don't want to be said. And this way, like with Mike coming on, with you guys submitting your stories, it helps spread awareness for those, who are out there, who are in the audience, who don't know what it's like living with these conditions.
Exactly.
I meant to ask him before he left what it was like. I wanted to hear what it's like to live with some of those lasting
Yes.
things that stuck with him since this happened to him.
Yes, he's forever, he did say that he's forever going to be a different person. He will never.
It ruined his life, is what he's saying.
Yes, exactly. He will
Dang.
never be that high school student back in his junior year when he should be carefree at that time in life,
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this show here, guys. Lady J,
thank
I'll
you.
let you outro everybody, but stay tuned. Make sure you have the bell rung. Later on today, we have some really sensational footage of a takedown that really some police body camera footage that went from 0 to freaking 150 in like 2 minutes. Like
Yes.
2 turns of a lamb's tail around the city blocks, guys. You'll see it.
You won't want to miss that one either. And until then, I want to thank each and every one of you that climbed aboard today to listen to Mike Torres, his story, and the disappointments, unfortunately. Being a cop is definitely an impossible job. Love you guys. Take care.
And if you enjoyed this stream, make sure that you share it out to your favorite social media. And if you hung out to the end, then that means that you're one of the Liberty fam for real. So we want you to put Liberty fam for real down in the comments so we know who the Liberty fam is for real.
Thank you. That would be fantablazing for real.
Adios, amigos. I love all y'all.
Love